Hey folks, Technivorous here. Today we're going to talk about some more Wheel of Time. Now this is going to be a spoiler heavy video and I'm going to give you my thoughts on the series so far up until episode 5. So we are skipping ahead a little bit. If you haven't seen all of the current episodes, make sure you go and do that before you jump in here because I don't want to ruin anything for you. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the first episode. I did a full video on this. I will be doing full videos on each individual episode. I just haven't had the time just yet. The first episode was an excellent introduction to the series, and I think that they definitely blew a lot of their budget on the Trollocs and Moiraine's display of power there at the beginning, but it was all well worth it. I think so far they've done an excellent job. As we continue on to episode 2 and even into episode 3, they've already passed Terran Ferry and Shadar Logoth. They're moving pretty quickly through the story. And there are a few minor changes which we'll discuss in just a moment. As you continue on, there is episode 4, which was very Logain centric, but explained some of his backstory and gave you a little bit more in-depth portrayal of his character and his mental state. I think that was a very, very good addition as far as Logain being mentioned a few times in the books at first, and then they capture him in Gentleland, but you don't really get him introduced as a character and start to learn about him or feel anything for him until much later on in the book. So introducing him now definitely lets you know that he's a character that's going to be around for a while in theory. So he was very, very taken aback by Nynaeve's power use, and this just after Moiraine told him his was but a pinprick of light compared to the raging sun that will be the Dragon Reborn. So when he sees Nynaeve save all those people, he thinks she's the Dragon Reborn. Although, there is a moment of irony in the next episode. So episode 5, this is where we are now. Everybody has begun to meet back up again. And in the books, they would be meeting in Camelin. This would be the first time that Rand sees Elaine, and a few other choice things happen. That's where he meets Lyle and things like that. In series on TV, they've done away with Camelin. We've skipped Whitebridge. We've skipped quite a few towns, actually. Now, real quickly, a moment on this. Whitebridge is a very, very decent-sized city, and there would be a lot of CGI involved. So, Rafe Judkins, the showrunner, has actually come out and said that the reason they did this was because a lot of the story takes place in Aes Sedai, or in the White Tower and around the Aes Sedai. So, in order to facilitate a TV show budget, they need what they call standing sets. So, for them, it made more sense to build the Tar Valon sets and do the Tar Valon CGI because it is the most prominent city in the series early on. And I have faith that we will see sets and CGI builds of those other cities as we continue on. They do visit most of them, but you have to keep in mind, this is a series that spans a whole continent and even some places off of the continent. So there are going to be lots of major cities, and that requires a lot of computer-generated building and a lot of actual sets to build. In the coming seasons alone, you should see them travel to not only the Borderlands, but Tyr as well, and that is another major city in another country. So it should have a completely different design aesthetic, and that's the thing that they're trying to kind of dial in. Everything is pretty well envisioned, but what they use and when is kind of determined by their budget. So skipping past Whitebridge, in my opinion, wasn't a bad thing. They ran into Tom at an inn in the Four Kings, called the Four Kings, which was pretty similar to the story, and Tom ended up attacking a Fade so they could get away, which was similar to the story. At this point, Matt is positive that Tom is dead. Now, I've gone a little bit off topic. I originally started about Logain Logain thinking that Nynaeve was the Dragon Reborn. I brought all this up to point out that they're kind of trying to get people who haven't read the series or don't know what's going on to think that the Dragon Reborn could be any one of these people, when at the end of the day, we all are pretty sure that it's Rand, because if it wasn't for him being the Dragon Reborn, he pretty much serves no purpose. So they haven't retconned anything and made him a wolf brother or the gambler or anything like that. So I'm pretty sure they're sticking to the tried and true story that everybody loves. They're just omitting a few parts and merging some things together. So once Logain arrives in Tar Valon and they're carting him through the city, he notices Matt and Rand sitting on a balcony. Now, Rand is sitting there, and he's kind of off in the background, and Matt is shown a little bit more prominently, and Logain looks up at the two of them and starts laughing. And this is a part that's in the book when they reach Camelin, and you don't find out until I think book 6 that Logain is actually laughing because Rand is so strong. So here they have him caged and they're worried about him, but this man who's way stronger than him, and probably is the actual Dragon Reborn, is running around among them, and they have no idea. So he found that hilarious. That is also another little nod to Matt being more prominent in that scene, and the scene that follows where Matt tells him, if I'm the Dragon Reborn, I want you to end me, basically. Um, those really set it up so that viewers who are unaware, uninitiated, really think that Matt is the Dragon Reborn. And at this point, my wife thinks Matt's the Dragon Reborn because of all of the things that have pointed at it, like Rand and Tom saying they think he can channel and all that. I haven't corrected her yet because I'm waiting to see what her final reaction is when it's revealed that he's not. I've discussed before on the channel how Matt was a character that in the books, the first few books, I really did not like. It wasn't until, and this is going to be a big spoiler, so cover your ears if you haven't read the books. It wasn't until Rudian that I really, really liked Matt. So after that whole thing happens, he started to grow on me immensely. Very, very excited for episode 6, episode 5, as the previous episodes before was a cliffhanger. So, I mean, you're left wondering what's going to happen next, and people are starting to meet up. I think now that Egwene and Perrin have escaped, that they should be pretty close to Tarvalon. One of the things about rushing this, though, is as the month has gone by and Perrin and Egwene are held by these White Cloaks, the White Cloaks aren't going to get that close to Tarvalon. Yeah, they prosecute witches, but they really don't go into Andor too deeply or too close to the White City itself. So, yeah, so far the series is great. I do have one gripe, and that is Loyal. I'm not a big fan of the aesthetic that they've chosen. It kind of hits that uncanny valley for me where it looks like it could be real, but it looks like it could be fake, and I'm just not happy with the design choices that they've made. But I am going to reserve judgment on that. I realize it was a conscious decision to save on the budget because CGIing that character who is so central to a lot of the stories would be really, really cost intensive. So they made the decision they felt they had to make, but bringing Lyle down to almost human sizes diminishes his ability and diminishes the terror you would feel going up against him because he doesn't stay gentle forever. For the most part, I mean, he's always a good guy, and for the most part, he's pretty gentle. But at one point, I think he talks about putting a long handle on his axe, which for the Ogier means that they're going to war, which they don't really do. I wish I had seen more from at least the eyebrow tufts in the book. They were said to be really expressive, and I feel like they could have done something to make them come out a little bit and be part of the character. Really, he's nothing look-wise like what I imagined, but I mean, that's not a big deal. His voice is spot on. His mannerisms are pretty well done. I don't like the fact that he's small because he's supposed to be having human-sized books in his pocket that look like just little tiny flip books to him. So that, I think, is something that I'll get over, obviously. Everything can't be exactly as it is in my head, and so far the show has done an amazing job of putting the things that are in those pages onto the screen and keeping your interest and making it visual and beautiful. So the few minor changes they have made, I accept, and I'm not passing any judgment on those. I will tell you now, when we see more Ogier, I will either hate it or love it. So when that time comes, I'll be sure to let you know. If you have opinions, specific opinions on Loyal or the look of the ogres in the show, please leave them down below in the comments. I'm curious to see what other people think. And I did have one more complaint. The Aes Sedai ring is ugly AF. It's supposed to be a tiny, single-banded serpent swallowing its own tail, and in order to shove a colored gem in there so you can tell what Aja these people are, they made it huge and gaudy. There's a part of me that says, you know, I understand that because people want to be able to look at the ring and say, oh, well, this chick's a red, but their outfits kind of give it away for the most part. Anybody who's an Aes Sedai pretty much wears just their color in most cases. The exception to that are, of course, the accepted, who don't really have an Aja yet. So, um, yeah, I don't like them. It should have been a smaller, thinner thing, and I think dainty, because it isn't to draw attention or make them stand out. That ring is a subtle nod to each other that they are a full sister. It's a badge basically. It's not like I'm gonna show you this ring and you're gonna fear me kind of thing. They're more subtle than that. But like I said, for the show, I understand the visual appeal of being able to see the color in the ring, but it's kind of superfluous when they're only wearing solid colors of their Aja. So go ahead and rip me apart for talking smack about the rings down below as well. If you want to comment, you can tell me how you feel about them. Like I said, I'm not a fan. But that said, all the little minor things that I really don't like in the show are just that. They're minor. There isn't anything that'll make me stop watching it. There isn't anything I've seen that I think that they've ruined so far. There's just a couple things that aren't what I think they should be. And, I mean, let's face it, I'm not right most of the time, so I guess I can't really complain. I'm very, very happy that they are in the process of filming season 2 and that they've also already picked up a season 3. I hear tons of great things about this. There's a little bit of buzz about it. I don't think it's gotten the full exposure that it is going to get yet, and I really think that it is going to blow up at the end of the first season. If you remember, Game of Thrones really didn't hook anybody until there was that major death at the end, when Ned Stark died and people thought he was the main character of the show. That's when people got interested. So I think that is what they are aiming for with the big reveal of who the dragon actually is, because once he comes out, for the rest of the story, you know. So they're building on that little bit of suspense to get people intrigued, and it's going to be a big bomb when it drops. And when it does, you're going to see this show everywhere. Yeah, that's going to be it for this, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Leave a like on this video. I really, really appreciate it. And smash that notification bell. You'll get notified when we post new videos. As I said, I do have episodes 2 through 5 synopsis coming out, and a few other little tidbits of parts that I pulled out that I want to talk about and discuss individually in their own videos. If you haven't already, check out my video on The Man Who Can't Forget. I did a little breakdown of that song and how it relates to the dragon, the original dragon, not the Dragon Reborn. And we'll see you in the next one, guys. Technivorous out.